The gift ambassador Velix Morthane adjusted her ceremonial robes as she glided through the corridors of Nexus Station, her four-chambered heart beating with the steady rhythm of diplomatic duty. The Zyran Empire had sent their finest negotiator to these peace talks, and she wore that responsibility like armor. Her translucent blue skin shimmered under the station's artificial lighting, while her large obsidian eyes surveyed the chaotic mixture of species bustling about. Fascinating how primitive their architecture appears, she murmured to her aide, Jorik, whose scaled features remained impassive, yet functional enough for their purposes. The human delegation waited in Conference Bay 7, their leader, a weathered woman named Director Reina Vasquez, extending what appeared to be a ceremonial greeting. Behind her stood Dr. Marcus Webb, the expedition's xenobiologist, and Captain Thorne Blackstone, whose military bearing reminded Velix uncomfortably of her own people's warrior caste. Ambassador Morthane, Director Vasquez smiled warmly, we're honored by your presence. As a gesture of goodwill, we've prepared something special. She gestured to an ornate crystalline container filled with dark liquid. This is coffee, one of our most cherished beverages. It's made from beans grown in Earth's fertile soil, representing our connection to our homeworld. Velix's nostril slits flared slightly. Zeran physiology was notoriously sensitive to foreign substances, but refusing would be diplomatically catastrophic. Her telepathic abilities brushed against the humans' minds. They radiated genuine hospitality, not deception. Your thoughtfulness honors the Zyran people, she replied, accepting the cup with graceful fingers. The liquid felt warm against her palms, and she detected complex aromatic compounds that her enhanced senses struggled to categorize. Dr. Webb watched intently as she raised the cup. Coffee contains caffeine and hundreds of other organic compounds. We've analyzed it extensively, but your physiology is so different from ours that we can't predict every reaction. Caution is wise, Velix acknowledged, then paused. Protocol demanded she drink, but something deeper called it intuition whispered warnings. Still, the future of two civilizations hung in the balance. She took a measured sip. The taste was bitter, earthy, with notes of something she couldn't identify. Not unpleasant, merely ... alien. Her throat processed the liquid normally, and she felt it enter her digestive system without immediate distress. Quite unique, she said diplomatically, taking another sip to demonstrate trust. For several minutes, nothing happened. Director Vasquez launched into opening remarks about territorial boundaries and trade agreements. Velix found herself nodding appropriately, her mind cataloging talking points and counterarguments. Then her vision flickered. It started subtly, colors seeming more vivid, edges sharper. Her hearing became acute enough to detect individual heartbeats. Around the room, the telepathic background hum that all Zyrans experienced suddenly amplified, and she could sense thoughts from beings 3 decks away. Fascinating, she whispered, not yet alarmed. Perhaps this was simply her body adapting to an exotic stimulant. But deep in her neural pathways, something ancient was awakening. The awakening 23 minutes after consuming the coffee. Ambassador Velix Morthane experienced her first seizure. It began as a tremor in her secondary nervous system, the complex network that governed Zyran telepathic abilities. Dr. Webb noticed her pupils dilating and contracting in rapid succession, while her skin shifted from translucent blue to a deep violet that pulsed with her accelerated heartbeat. Ambassador? Director Vasquez leaned forward, concern evident in her voice. Are you experiencing discomfort? Velix tried to respond, but her vocal cords wouldn't obey. Instead, a low harmonic emanated from her throat, a sound no Zyran had ever produced. The frequency made the room's metal surfaces vibrate, and several humans instinctively stepped back. Jorik immediately activated his emergency beacon. Medical emergency. Ambassador Morthane is experiencing an adverse reaction. But Velix was no longer present in the conventional sense. Her consciousness had expanded beyond her physical form, racing through the station's neural networks with impossible speed. She could perceive every living mind aboard Nexus Station, simultaneously human thoughts, flavored with curiosity and fear, Xeran minds rigid with disciplined control, and dozens of other species creating a cacophony of alien consciousness. "Get Dr. Kellen up here immediately." Captain Blackstone barked into his communicator. "We need a xenobiologist and a medical team." The ambassador's body convulsed again, but this time her telepathic abilities lashed out involuntarily. 3. Nearby humans collapsed, clutching their heads as foreign thoughts invaded their minds. They saw glimpses of the Xyran homeworld crystalline cities beneath twin suns, vast libraries of genetic memory, and something else ... something watching from the spaces between stars. "Isolation protocol," Dr. Webb shouted, recognizing the symptoms of telepathic overflow. "She's broadcasting on multiple frequencies." Security teams rushed to establish a psionic dampening field, but their technology was designed for baseline telepathic abilities. What was happening to Velix transcended their understanding. Her mind was rewriting itself at the cellular level, guided by genetic sequences that had remained dormant for millennia. Dr. Kellen arrived within minutes, her gray hair disheveled and her medical scanner already active. "Impossible," she breathed, studying the readings. "Her neural activity is off the charts. Brain chemistry is completely reorganizing, and her DNA is ... changing. Changing how?" Director Vasquez demanded, activating dormant sequences. "It's like..." The caffeine triggered some kind of evolutionary failsafe. Her species must have been exposed to similar compounds in their distant past. Velix's eyes snapped open, but they were no longer obsidian. They blazed with an inner light that seemed to contain entire galaxies. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made the air itself sing. "The architects," she whispered, her words echoing in languages that predated known civilization. "They're calling. The barrier weakens. The ancient compact ... broken." Her aide Jorik stepped forward desperately. "Ambassador, you must focus. Remember your training." But Velix looked through him as if he were made of glass. Her perception had expanded to encompass quantum fluctuations in local spacetime, and she could see the threads of causality stretching back to the moment Earth's first coffee plants had been cultivated. "It was never coincidence," she said, her voice now carrying the weight of cosmic revelation. "They guided your species to create this catalyst. Humanity ... You were shepherded, prepared. Prepared for what?" Dr. Webb asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. Velix's transformed gaze fixed on him, and for a moment he saw the universe as she now perceived it, vast, ancient, and full of intelligences that regarded both humans and Xerans as mere stepping stones in a plan spanning geological epochs. "For the awakening," she replied, just as the first distress signals began arriving from the outer system. The conspiracy chief engineer Gante Kowalski was monitoring the station's power grid when the first anomaly appeared. Deep in Section C7, someone was drawing massive amounts of energy through unauthorized channels. Security footage showed nothing, but the drain was undeniable. "Director Vasquez," he called over the intercom, "we've got a problem. Something's been siphoning power for weeks, but it's accelerating now. If this keeps up, we'll lose life support in 6 hours." 3 decks above, Dr. Lydia Graves terminated her encrypted communication with Earth Command and deleted the transmission. Logs. For 18 months, she'd been feeding information to a shadow organization within the Terran Council, a group that believed humanity's survival depended on controlling, not befriending, alien species. The coffee had been her masterpiece. Not just caffeine, but a carefully engineered cocktail of compounds designed to activate dormant genetic sequences in Zyran physiology. The research had taken years, built on stolen genetic samples and classified xenobiology reports. Phase 1. Complete, she whispered to her hidden recording device. The subject is transforming as predicted. Phase 2 can commence once we've secured the asset. But even Dr. Graves didn't understand the full implications of what she'd unleashed. The organization she served believed they were creating a weaponage, way to turn Zarin telepathic abilities against their own people. They had no idea that Velix's transformation was opening a door to something far older and more dangerous than any political conspiracy dot in the medical bay. Velix's body had stabilized in its new configuration. Her skin now resembled liquid starlight, and her eyes held depths that seemed to contain entire nebulae. Dr. Kellen's scans revealed cellular structures that defied classification, part organic, part something else entirely. The neural pathways are growing, Dr. Kellen reported to the assembled team. Not just expanding, actually constructing new connections that shouldn't be possible under known physics. She's becoming a living quantum computer. Captain Blackstone studied the readings with growing unease. Can we reverse it? I don't think we should, Dr. Webb interjected. She's been trying to communicate something. These architects, she mentioned, if they're real, we need to understand what they want. What they want, Velix said, her voice now carrying harmonic overtones that made the air shimmer, is completion. Your species was guided to create the catalyst. Mine was prepared to receive it, but the process was never meant to be random. She turned her transformed gaze to the observation window, where Dr. Graves stood among the other researchers. Someone has been interfering with the natural progression. Someone who believes they can control forces beyond their comprehension. Dr. Graves felt a chill run down her spine as those cosmic eyes fixed on her. Could the transformed ambassador actually see through her deception? The power drain, Velix continued, is not coming from me. It's coming from the amplification equipment hidden in section 100-7. Someone has been preparing to broadcast my transformation to the outer system, believing they can use it as a weapon. Captain Blackstone's hand moved to his sidearm. Dr. Graves, I think we need to talk, but it was too late. The hidden equipment in Section C7 had already begun its work, using Velix's enhanced telepathic abilities as a carrier signal. The transformation virus, encoded in quantum fluctuations, was spreading through subspace to every Zarin ship in the system. You fools, Velix whispered, her voice now carrying the weight of cosmic horror. You've awakened them all. The architects are coming, and they're not the only ones who've been waiting. Across the system, Zyran crew members began collapsing as their dormant genetic sequences activated. But unlike Velix's controlled transformation, these changes were chaotic. UNGUID, D. And in the spaces between stars, something ancient sensed the disturbance and began to stir. The Voice's security chief, Raymond Torres, had seen enough strange things in his 20-year career to know when a situation was spiraling beyond control. Dr. Graves was in custody, her hidden equipment destroyed. But the damage was done. 17 Zyran ships had gone dark, their crews undergoing chaotic transformations that made Velix's controlled change look like a gentle evolution. Status report, Director Vasquez demanded as she entered the emergency command center. It's bad, Torres replied, his weathered face grim. The Zarin fleet is in complete disarray. Some ships are attacking each other. Others are broadcasting on frequencies that don't exist. And there's something else our deep space sensors are picking up: massive energy signatures moving inward from the system's edge. In the medical bay, Velix had entered a trance-like state, her transformed body floating 3 feet above the examination table. Dr. Kellen's instruments could no longer read her vital signs. She seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. The voices are getting stronger, Velix whispered, her words creating visible ripples in the air. So many minds awakening at once. They're calling to the architects, but something else is answering. Dr. Webb leaned closer, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. What kind of something else? Old enemies, the architects' ancient foes. We were never meant to activate this many simultaneously. The beacon we're creating is too strong, too chaotic. It's drawing attention from the deep. Dark. Her eyes snapped open, now containing swirling galaxies that seemed to move independently. Dr. Graves' masters believed they could weaponize the transformation. They didn't understand that the architects and their enemies had been using species like ours as proxies in a war that spans eons. War? Captain Blackstone stepped forward. What kind of war? A war for the right to guide younger species. The architects believe in gradual evolution, careful nurturing. Their enemies prefer consumption, absorption. Both sides seed potential. Client species with genetic triggers, waiting for the right moment to activate their champions. Velix's form began to phase in and out of visibility as her consciousness expanded across multiple dimensions. The coffee was never random. The architects guided your agricultural development, ensuring that Earth would produce the exact compounds needed to trigger our transformation. But they expected the process to be gradual, controlled. Then, why is everything falling apart? Dr. Kellen asked. Because Dr. Graves' organization accelerated the timeline. They wanted to create artificial telepathic amplifiers, not understanding that they were actually constructing a massive beacon. Now both sides know that our species are ready for the next phase. The station shuddered as massive shapes began appearing at the system's edge structures that defied conventional physics, some kilometers long and composed of what looked like crystallized thought. The architects were arriving, but they weren't. Alone. The enemy comes too, Velix said, her voice now carrying the harmonic signatures of multiple alien languages. They ride the dark between stars, wearing the faces of consumed civilizations. They seek to claim what the architects have cultivated. On the tactical display, the approaching entities moved with impossible grace, their forms shifting between matter and energy. Some radiated the same crystalline beauty as Velix's transformation, while others seemed to absorb light itself, leaving holes in space where they passed. How do we fight them? Torres asked, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. You don't, Velix replied sadly. This is beyond your species' current capabilities. The battle will be fought in dimensions you can't perceive, using weapons of pure thought and temporal manipulation. She turned to face the assembled humans, her cosmic gaze carrying infinite compassion. But there is hope. The transformation can be guided, controlled. Some of us can become bridges between the warring factions, advocates for a peaceful resolution. Some of us? Dr. Webb frowned. The process isn't limited to Xerans. The genetic triggers exist in many species, including humans. The coffee affects you differently because your neural pathways are structured for different types of consciousness. But the potential is there. Director Vasquez felt a chill of understanding. You're saying we could transform too? Not could, Velix corrected, her form solidifying as she made a crucial decision. Must. The only way to survive what's coming is to evolve beyond your current limitations. To become something new. She raised her transformed hand, and energy began to coalesce around her fingers. The choice is yours, but choose quickly. The first wave of the enemy fleet will arrive in 6 hours. The choice director Vasquez stared at the swirling energy in Velix's palm, knowing that her next decision would determine the fate of not just Nexus Station, but potentially all of humanity. Around her, the assembled team watched with mixtures of terror and fascination as the transformed ambassador offered them a path beyond their current existence. The process is different for each species, Velix explained, her voice now carrying harmonics that bypassed the ears and spoke directly to the mind. For Zirans, it unlocks dormant telepathic pathways. For humans, it will awaken your latent ability to perceive and manipulate quantum probability fields. Your species' intuition and adaptability will become literal superpowers. Dr. Webb stepped forward first, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. What exactly are the risks? Death, madness, or transcendence? Velix replied honestly. The transformation forces consciousness to expand beyond the boundaries of individual identity. Some minds cannot handle the integration. Others become lost in the collective awareness. Captain Blackstone studied the tactical display, where the approaching enemy fleet continued to grow in size and malevolence. And if we refuse? Then you remain as you are, brave, intelligent, but ultimately helpless against forces that exist in dimensions you cannot perceive. The enemy will harvest your species' genetic potential and move on to the next world. Chief Torres made the decision for all of them. I'd spent my whole career protecting people. If there's a chance this could help us fight back, I'll take it. He stepped forward, extending his hand toward Velix's energy field. The moment his fingers touched the swirling power, Torres screamed. His body convulsed as every nerve ending ignited with impossible sensation. But instead of falling, he began to change. His eyes developed the same starlight quality as Velix's, and his mind suddenly exploded with awareness of probability cascades, quantum fluctuations, and the mathematical underpinnings of reality itself. I can see it, he whispered, his voice now carrying harmonic overtones. The enemy isn't just another species. They're a manifestation of entropy itself. They feed on the collapse of organized consciousness, growing stronger with each civilization. They consume. One by one, the others made their choice. Dr. Kellen transformed into something that could perceive biological systems at the quantum level. Dr. Webb became a living interface between organic and artificial intelligence. Captain Blackstone's military training merged with probability manipulation to create a tactical awareness that bordered on precognition. Director Vasquez was the last to transform, and as the energy coursed through her neural pathways, she understood the true scope of what was happening. This wasn't just about humanity or the Zirans. It was about the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. The architects and their enemies have been at war for millions of years, she said, her transformed perception now able to see the historical threads stretching back through time. Each side believes they're saving the universe from the other's vision, but they're both wrong. Wrong how? Velix asked, her own cosmic awareness suddenly focused on this new revelation. They're locked in a false dichotomy. The architects want to nurture consciousness gradually, while the enemy seeks to consume it immediately. But there's a third option: synthesis, taking the best of both approaches and creating something entirely new. As if summoned by her words, the first enemy vessels entered the system. They were things of living darkness, their forms shifting between matter and void. But the architect ships were equally alien crystalline constructs that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They're both preparing for battle, Captain Blackstone reported, his enhanced tactical awareness reading the deployment patterns. But they're also waiting for something. For us to choose a side, Velix realized. The transformed individuals from both our species were meant to become the next generation of champions in their eternal war. Then we don't choose, Director Vasquez said firmly. We forge our own path. She reached out with her transformed consciousness, connecting with every awakened mind in the system, human, Zyron, and others who had begun their own transformations. Together, they formed a collective awareness that was neither purely individual nor completely merged. We offer a different way, she broadcast to both fleets, her words carrying across dimensions. Not consumption or cultivation, but cooperation. Not war, but synthesis. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Some entities from both sides responded with curiosity, while others prepared to destroy this unprecedented hybrid consciousness. The battle for the future of aware life in the galaxy was about to begin. But for the first time in eons, it wouldn't be fought along the ancient battle lines. A new player had entered the cosmic game, and the rules were about to change forever.